Sorry to whoever was steering the Porsche over there, Camel Straight.
You've got about 5 laps of fuel left. You've got about 2 laps of fuel left. You have about 1 lap of fuel left.
Thanks, mate.
Alright, so this is just a quick test of my mic right here. Okay, so my mic is set so that it's always on, so it should pick up pretty much everything I say. If you hear like little clicks, that's probably my gear changes. They sound like this. I don't know if you could hear that or not. If not, that's cool. So this is the actual race session. There's a 3-minute practice, which is basically just to allow everyone time to connect. And then we'll have 8 minutes to qualify. You get 2 laps to qualify, and then the race itself is an hour. So these are all the people I'm going to race with. So these guys here would have the blue numbers. They're the cars that I'm racing. I'm driving what's called the GTE car. It's this guy up here. It's based on a production car. I'm driving a Ferrari. These guys here in the yellow, they're driving what are called prototypes. Those are, if you watch like this Imsa races like at Daytona a couple weeks ago, the 24 hours of Daytona, those are the ones that are kind of like the flat cars. They look really weird. They're a prototype. They're not a production car. And then these cars here in the pink are what's called GTD cars. They're another class of GT car. They're just slower. So these are the 3 different classes. So there's 3 races going on at once. These cars are all racing each other. These cars are all racing each other. And then the pink cars are all racing each other. All at the same time on the track. So what happens is, since these guys are faster, the yellow prototypes, eventually they'll come around to lap us. And so you got to, while you're racing with your own cars, you got to let these guys through. And then eventually at some point I'm going to have to lap these guys in the pink. So I'm going to go out and do my qualifying here. I probably won't talk much during qualifying.
You got about 5 laps of fuel left.
So that's my spotter. The spotter is automated. The iRacing actually does have a feature where you can have a live person spot for you. But for races like this, people don't really do that. That's more for like leagues. Like when I ran the 24 hours of Le Mans that time, we had live spotters. Like somebody else on the team that wasn't driving at the time, they would spot. So this lap is what's called your out lap. So qualifying here is 2 laps plus your out lap. Your out lap is, you're coming out of the pits. So this lap's not timed. So I'm not really worried about my time on this lap. The main thing on this lap is just to kind of get the tires up to temperature, get the brakes up to temperature. And you do want to hit your corners decent though, because you want to kind of get into a rhythm, so when you start your qualifying lap, you're in your rhythm. And this is kind of the video that I sent you, a few days ago. This is basically what I was doing. I was explaining a lot of this kind of stuff. Laps around here take a while. They're over 2 minutes per lap. So I'm coming up to the start of my lap here, so
Green, green, green.
I will likely not talk much during my actual qualifying laps.
Okay, here comes your first time lap.
That's the start-finish line I just crossed right there. This is that uphill section.
You've got about 2 laps of fuel left.
Wide open through there, about 150 miles an hour. F1 cars go up through there at something like, 180, 190. I mean, they fly up through that section. cut that corner too sharp. See that thing at the top? It says off track. When you do that, the lap doesn't count for qualifying. So this lap won't even count. So that means my next lap is the only lap I get to set a time on. So I gotta make sure I hit my next lap really good. In general, 2-lap qualifying, the first lap you'll kind of, you'll go like, 98% to try and make sure you set a clean lap, decent lap, decent time. And then the second lap you go balls out, because if you wreck, it's like, whatever, it's, you already set a time. Yeah, so coming to complete this lap.
One more lap.
So on the bottom right here, you'll see my time.
Fuel left.
Well, no, it actually didn't record the time because it was a bad lap. I forgot to mute those guys. Don't need anybody talking while I'm driving. Yeah, on the left there, you can see my last lap was a 2:13.4. That's a decent lap. But it doesn't count. That's what the little asterisk is next to it for. That's telling me it wasn't a clean lap. I really want to be down the 2:12s for a good lap. This is a pretty good lap going, if I can keep it together. See that section there, I should have been wide open through that last corner, but I lifted a tiny bit just to make sure I didn't get an off track on the exit, so that cost me a little bit of time. I might have to lift right here too. This corner I should be wide open. I lifted a tiny bit just to make sure I made the corner. Alright, it felt like a pretty good lap.
Alright, there's the ticket flag.
And it's only a 2:13 even. A little disappointed with that. Could have been better. But I had to take it a little bit easy to make sure I didn't get an off track again. So now before the race starts, I got to switch to my race setup. If you forget to do that, you're screwed because your qualifying setup only has a couple laps worth of fuel in it. And it's also a little harder on tires. So, yeah, so I'm qualified in the middle of the GTE cars here. These are good times right here. It's 2:12.4, 2:12.7. This is where I can drive around here, around like a 2:12.7 or 6 is my best qualifying times. So there's one or two guys in here that are faster than me, even if I set a good lap. So basically what will happen here is we're going to take the grid. These cars will all grid together. These cars all grid together, and then these cars all grid together. This is how the grid is set. So you get all the prototypes, then all the GTEs, then all the GTDs. So basically what will happen is these cars will pull away when the pace car leaves, and then we will kind of sit there for a little bit and let them get ahead of us. Because even though these cars are faster, the first couple of corners, the back half of the field, they're a little slow getting through the corners because they're all, kind of stacked up on each other. So sometimes these cars can actually catch these cars. So you'll leave a big gap. The leader of this class would leave a big gap to the next class. to make sure you don't, get to them and have to slow down. Ideally, he should do that. Sometimes people don't know to do that if it's their first time sitting on the pole. So this is I got 58 seconds left to grid. I'm going to jump in here. So you get in your car. I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor.
Line up on the right side. Pit road is closed.
If you could see my mouse cursor in the middle of the screen here. Up here is the prototypes. So they're going to pull away and then we stay here for a little bit. Down here, I got to set my pit options real quick before the race starts. So I only need so much fuel. The race is long enough where everybody has to pit, but you don't need a full tank of fuel. And because you don't need a full tank of fuel, I'm not going to take tires either. It's a quick pit stop just for gas. And then this screen down here kind of helps you keep track of what's going on. It'll tell you what lap you're on, how long you have to go in the race, your lap times, and then it'll show you the car ahead of you and behind you how far ahead they are. At different times, I'll switch between different screens. Like this screen, your relative tells you all the cars ahead and just behind you, how close they are. Because we're on the grid, they're just fractions of a second. This is my fuel screen. That's mostly all I'll keep track of. This screen, and this screen. And then eventually I'll turn on what's called my delta bar. That was the thing you saw up here during my qualifying laps. It was like a green or red bar and it had numbers. That tells you, like, compared to your previous lap, how you're doing.
23 car.
Spotter will go a little crazy here because it wants me to catch up to cars that are moving. So this is just like a quarter of a pace lap before the race actually starts.
Catch up 3 car.
The prototypes are gone. They're up there.
Ready, going green.
They're up there close to the green flag. See, we're catching them too. We should not be this close to the prototypes. The guy leading this class doesn't know what he's doing.
Pace car is off. Green, green, green.
That was a really sloppy start.
Left side.
That guy hit the
hold your
wall.
line.
The guy in the yellow car in front of me, he actually hit
Clear.
the wall in that last corner. So I want to make sure I get a good run up this so I can get a draft on this guy and try to get by him here on this long straightaway.
Left side. Still there. Clear on the left. Slow car ahead. Car stopped ahead. Go left.
This is what you don't want. The prototypes are getting in incidents with each other and we're too close, so we have to be careful. At this point, you just want to kind of settle in, like get the tires warm, get the brakes warm. The car doesn't drive very well the first lap or two. I slid out wide there. See that thing at the top says I got an off track there? You can only do that so many times. Once you get so many incident points, you get a black flag and have to do a pass-through penalty. And that's just to kind of encourage people to drive clean, so people don't drive too stupid. Doesn't always work.
You're in fifth.
So if you look at my mirror, you can barely see the car behind me. He's far enough back where I don't have to worry about him drafting me and trying to pass me on this straightaway coming up. So that means I could just focus forward. Eventually there's probably going to be a prototype coming though. That's what this screen helps you keep track of. If there's a prototype coming, I got to make sure I be careful.
You got a slow car on the left.
We got some kind of problem up here. Looks like it's clear. Yeah, there's a prototype up there that's struggling. Yeah, now he's going. He's pulling away from us like he should. So I'm going to bring my delta bar up here. This just helps you keep consistent laps once it registers a lap. So here comes a prototype on me. He should not be trying to pass me here. That's really stupid of him. That's not a good place to pass. I just spun. I gotta wait for everybody to go by where it's safe to go. Yeah, that sucks. That prototype coming through distracted me, and that's on me though. I mean, it annoyed me, but we made it through clean, no problem. I was just annoyed, so I made a mistake there. And I got hit, so I don't know how much damage I have. So now I just got to catch up. I mean, there's guys in the race that are slower than me, so I should definitely catch some of them. I mean, there's no way I'll get up to the leaders, though, at this point. I gotta take it easy here these next lap or two to see how the car's gonna behave. It has some damage, but obviously I can't see how bad. Mechanically, the car feels fine, but in some of the faster corners, if you have aerodynamic damage, it can change the way the car handles.
Car stopped on the right.
Yeah, so I'm back in, all the way back in 14th. Although yesterday I had a race where I had a couple of incidents actually, and at one point, sometimes I'll stop talking like that just because I need to focus on something. But at one point I was back to around this place yesterday in a race, and I wound up finishing third. So I just passed a car back there. He had some kind of problem. I mean, the car feels okay. It doesn't feel exactly right. That wasn't a smart move by that guy. That's not a good place to pop out and try to pass. Especially that late. You can pass almost anywhere on the track. It's just a matter of, like, at some point the car in front of you stops looking in his mirror and starts looking at the corner ahead. So if you pop out too late, he might not even see you.
Car right. Still there. You're on the left. 3 wide. Clear all around.
Well, that helped. So now, if you look in my mirror, that guy's pretty close. So he should be able to draft me here down this next straightaway and get a good run on me. So I'm going to have to defend. Make him go to the outside and see if I can outbrake him into this next corner.
Still there. Still there. Hold your line. Clear.
He got in there good. That's a good job by him. I broke a little early just to make sure I didn't hit him. The other thing is, I don't know who this guy is. Like, I can look at his name, but I don't. The thing is, there's so many people that race in these races, you're not always racing against the same people, so you don't have that chance to get familiarity. I have no idea how fast this guy is. I mean, it looks like I'm faster than him. He just got by me on the straightaway. He had the draft. I also have damage, so that hurts on the straightaway. Now I'm close enough to draft him. I might be able to get back by him. So he'll probably do the same thing, make me go around the other way.
Right side. Keep to the left. Clear on the right.
Sure, just shove me off the track after I raced you clean.
They say you cut the course.
Dirtbag.
You'll have to slow down and give up the time gained.
Some people just have no idea how to race.
Ah! Sac à merde!
I don't think that was the same guy. I had a feeling he was going to do that too. If I get back to him, I might just spin him because I'm pissed. I could get penalized for that, but I don't really care. So it's going to take me laps to catch those guys again. See in the bottom right here, you'll see this timing stream it'll update. It takes a couple seconds to update fully. So you can see where it says ahead, number 9, and then that dude's name, 3.237 seconds. That's how long after him I crossed the start-finish line. So on every lap I can check that and see if I'm gaining time on him or not. And then it also shows the car behind me.
Sorry, Conrad.
Those people talking, that's just, everybody in the race can talk to each other, so. Actually, usually I keep that muted so people don't distract me. So I keyed my mic to tell him he was a dickwad for running me off the track. And once you key your mic, it unmutes the chat, so. I have it manually muted back again. Just about spun there. See my off tracks, my penalties, I'm up to 7 out of 17. It doesn't just count off tracks, like when you make contact with other cars, it registers that too, so that doesn't mean I went off track 7 times. That also includes that guy that hit me earlier. Yeah, so last time it was 3.237 seconds. It looks like I'm closer this time. It'll take a few seconds to fully update. Yeah, so 2.845, so I gained about 0.4 of a second. So at that rate, I'd catch these guys in like 6 or 7 laps. See my delta bar up there, it's red right now because I lost a little time through that corner. But the overall lap, I'm about 0.6 of a second faster than I was last lap. And so it'll keep changing, like, I mean, every time you go through a corner, if you hit the corner good or not. So now last time through here, I almost spun. So I gained a little time there. I hit that corner good, so Now that you hit that corner good, you'll gain time all the way down this straightaway. Well, I should. I don't know why I'm not. Might be from the damage. The aerodynamic damage slows you down. That guy in front of me locked his brakes up. That's where all that smoke was. See, so about this lap will be about a half a second faster than the last lap. I blew that corner. So you can see up there I'm 0.2 slower than the previous lap. That chat up there, some people don't have a mic, so they type. He must be mad at somebody. The other thing that Delta Bar does is it gives you something to race when you're not around other cars, you know, because it can get kind of boring. I mean, even though you're still having to focus and hit your marks, it can, like, you know, it can just be a little boring, you know, because that's all you have to focus on. Well, now I have something else to focus on. I'm racing the clock, trying to set good lap times. But you got to be careful with that, because if you start trying to beat the clock too much, you make mistakes. So last lap I was like half a second faster than the lap before that. And this lap, I'm even better. So you see on the left there, my last lap was a 2:13.9. This one's a 2:13.8. So now I'm getting close to drafting range here. But what I might do is, I'm into my pit window where I could pit and make it to the end here on fuel. And then the other thing to consider is the prototypes are coming. You can see in the bottom right here, that yellow car with the yellow number, Jasper. He's the leader of the prototypes. He's coming around to lap the GTE cars. But what I might do is pit, because then I don't have to let him through. They'll just pass me in the pits. And then if I could come out and clean track after my pit stop and set some good laps, by the time these cars ahead of me pit, they might be behind me when they come out. That's what I did yesterday, that race I finished. I came back and finished third, and I pitted early, got into some clean track, set some really good laps. And when the cars ahead of me pitted, they all came out behind me because they had lost time letting the prototypes through. Not only that, you lose time racing each other. So like these two cars ahead of me, if they get to racing, I would each other, I would catch them fast. I mean, you saw how much time I lost racing them. The one dude shoved me off the track. Well, stuff like that doesn't happen when you're running by yourself. You just run by yourself, set your own lap times. You don't got to worry about that crap. So yeah, I think I'm going to pit this lap. See the blue flag in the upper left? That means the prototype's coming. He's a lap ahead of me. I have to let him through.
Car on your left. Clear on the left.
See, I breathed the throttle a tiny bit there to make sure he got through before that kink. I didn't lose much time though, so that's good. So now I'll come in the pits. Yeah, see, optional repairs, 12.8 seconds. That means I have damage. But I'm not going to stay here and fix it because it'll probably take longer to fix than I would gain.
Okay, punch it.
So now I'm going to go to my relative. This way, when I come out of the pits, I can see if there's cars coming up on me. It looks like I'm good for the most part. You see the yellow numbered cars. The first place one was coming through on the last lap. Well, now the first one that's going to get to me coming behind me is 10th place one. So 8 of those cars passed me in the pits. And they're not cars I'm racing. They're prototypes. They're different class. So 8 of those cars passed me in the pits. That means I didn't have to lift and let them go by or anything like that. That's all time I saved. So the cars that stayed out hopefully will lose a lot of time letting those prototypes through, and by the time they pit, I'll be in front of them. And one more prototype coming. He's right behind me right now. Here he comes. I thought he was going to go for it, but he didn't. He's going to wait until this section, which is smart of him. He should wait. He should have waited until here. That was a smart move by him.
Car on your left. Clear. Car on your left. Clear.
Oh, he didn't get into that corner very good at all. I almost hit him. See, his car is way better than mine. He should have got through that corner really fast. That should not have happened. That cost me time. But see, so that happened to me once. Because I only had to let one prototype through. Everybody else is going to have to let 10 through. Yeah, my car really feels splashy from that damage. It's aerodynamic damage, I think, mostly. I don't think the suspension's damage. See, and like that was a decision I had to make. Like, okay, do I want to sit there an extra 12 seconds and let them repair that damage?
Go left.
And kind of the thought process is, okay, how bad is that damage slowing me down? And so, like, say the damage is slowing me down a second a lap, and it takes 12 seconds to repair. Well, then, in theory, you need 12 seconds to make, or 12 laps to make that time up. But that's also assuming, which there's more than 12 laps to go in the race, so technically it was probably feasible to fix the damage. But then the other thing is, though, is that they may not be able to fix the damage all the way. Like that 12 seconds they were going to do repairs, that might not get the car to pristine condition. So that, you have to factor that in too. Like, is that 12 seconds worth losing if you're not going to get the car's entire capability back? So now the car behind me, he pitted the lap after me and he came out behind me. The other thing is too, is how does everybody get in the pits, you know? Do they go into the pits a little slow and then you could gain time on them that way? Does their pit stop take too long? Like, I have my fuel calculated out where when the race is over, I'll only have about a lap's worth of fuel left. If someone didn't do their fuel calculations that precisely, they might take too much fuel, and then you gain time on them that way. The more fuel you take, the longer you're sitting there. So it's important to have your fuel calculated out well. So I've got another prototype coming. I think he just came out of the pits. So what you'd love to have happen is for him to get me on this long straightaway, so I don't have to slow down to let him by. He just pass me on the straightaway. It doesn't look like he's going to get to me though. So now hopefully he waits for a opportune place to pass instead of trying to force something where it ain't going to work. Like, this is a decent place right here.
Clear.
He gets into that corner better than me because he has a faster car, and then I really didn't lose anything letting him go. And that's also good for him, you know, that he didn't lose a lot of time passing me either. If you try to force it in a place where it's not easy to pass, you'll both lose time. So it's better for him to wait like he did. I messed that up. I missed my braking marker. So now the car behind me, I was able to see him a lot closer before that prototype came through. I don't know whether he lost time with that prototype or whether he just made a mistake somewhere and lost a bunch of time to me, but I pulled away from him. Because that's my other concern is like, okay, so I should pass some guys when they pit, but with my damage and stuff, can I stay in front of them? My lap times are not very good. 2:14s, I should be down better than that. But it's hard with the car messed up. This corner here is where I let that prototype pass me last lap. So I should gain a little bit of time here on my lap, but not much. And then I gave it back in that corner. That corner there is my worst corner on the track. For whatever reason, I just cannot do that corner. Yeah, see, the car drives completely different now because of the damage, so, and that'll even mess me up the next race. So like next race, when the car is correct, you know, it's not damaged, it'll drive different. So you almost have to like relearn how to drive the car. I mean, it's not a huge difference, but that's what practice is for though. Like before the next race, I'll make sure I do a few laps of practice just to make sure I get the feel of the undamaged car back. Yeah, see, I'm pulling away from the car behind me, so I'm not worried about him. At this point, it's just, you know, I've got clean track. I just want to set good, consistent laps. And, you know, hopefully they're better laps than the cars ahead of me are setting. And then when those cars come out of the pits, I should be in front. Now these cars directly in front of me, I'm pretty sure most of them already pitted, because I wouldn't be this close to them if they hadn't. Oh, okay, actually these first two cars in front of me are GTDs. They're a different class than me, so I'm not even racing them. That guy went off, that makes him nice and easy to pass. So now just like when the prototypes come to pass me, now I have to find a good, clean place to pass this guy.
Car on your left. Clear.
Coming out of a corner onto a long straightaway. I know this ain't straight, but it's a flat out section. That's the best place to pass the other classes. He held me up a little bit. You know, but he didn't do anything wrong. That's just kind of the nature of this kind of racing. It's kind of luck of the draw where you catch those slower cars. Sometimes you catch them on the straightaway, you just blow right by them. Neither one of you loses time. Yeah, I'm pulling away from the guy behind me and I'm catching the car in front of me. There's 25 minutes left to go in the race. That should be plenty of time. That's over here on the right. So he says remaining. That's the time remaining in the race. Should be plenty of time to catch this guy. And how this works is, so there's, 24 minutes remaining in the race. Basically, the race doesn't just stop when that time runs out. Once that time runs out, then the next time the leader crosses the finish line, the race is, that's the checkers. And then after the leader takes the checkers, then from there, every car behind him, as they take the checkers, the race is over. So basically, a lap around here in a prototype takes about 2 minutes. So if the leader in prototypes comes to the start finish line with, say, 1:30 left in the race, he'll get the white flag, because by the time he gets around again, the time should be expired. And so then, as each subsequent car crosses the line after him, they all get the white flag. And then, next time you're around, you get the checkers. So last time I was like 4.7 seconds behind. Let's see if I gained any this lap.
You're in the top 10.
4.6, so I didn't gain much.
You got a slow car on the right.
This is a GTD car. I really want to get by him before this uphill
Right side.
section, because it'll cost me too much time following him up through here. It would have cost me a ton of time to follow him up there. The other thing too is, so I didn't take tires because normally for this race it's an hour long. You can go about 40 minutes on fuel. You just take fuel, which is normally not a problem. You know, the car gets to be a tiny bit of a handful the last few laps because you have like an hour's worth of hard driving on them. But because my car's not handling well to begin with, the old tires might become more of a problem than normal. I really don't know, or they might not. I just gotta wait and see. And anybody that hasn't pitted yet should be pitting in the next lap or two. So I might get a position or two when some of these guys pit, but it doesn't look like it. Those incidents I had set me too far behind. You know, and that's another thing about this kind of racing, because there's so many cars or so many people that do these races that, like I was saying before, you don't always race against the same people. So not only do you not know how fast some guys are, you don't know how clean they are either. Like, I had no idea that guy was the kind of asshole that would shove me off the racetrack. You could try to remember that, but I mean, I might not be in another race with him for, you know, days or even weeks. You know, and by then we'll even remember the guy's name. I mean, I already kind of forget the guy's name. I might recognize it if I saw it in my relative, but I already kind of forget who he was.
Car stopped ahead. Car stop on the left. Go right.
I think that was him, Liam Campbell, actually. The guy that just crossed in front of me and went in the pits. Well, if that is him, that means I don't have to decide what to do if I get to him. Because I was kind of on the fence about whether I wanted to wreck him or not. Intentionally wrecking is, it's not like NASCAR where you can just kind of get away with it. That's considered part of the sport. It's not accepted on iRacing. So if I did do that, I'd be in a lot of trouble. I mean, you could actually get banned from the service. So, I mean, when I say I was gonna do it, I mean, whether I actually would have, I don't know. I don't think so. I wouldn't want to risk it. So all this talking I've been doing, nobody else can hear this, unless I key my mic. So I am catching this guy. He's having trouble getting around this GTD car. That cost him a lot of time. And this GTD car was pitted.
All right.
You know, so it's like, why would you hold up the car coming Like, so this guy in front of me just got held up a ton by that GTD car.
You got a slow car on the right. You
Now,
got
through
a
that
slow car on the
GTD
right.
car, why race that car that's in a totally different class than you? Why race him that hard and hold him up like that? And then just go, you know, when you know you're pitting. I mean, it's just so not worth it. Just, the thing is, you know, anybody can do this. So when you're out driving on the street and you see somebody that doesn't know how to drive, well, he might have an iRacing subscription. So some of these people, they just have the slightest clue what they're doing, you know, so that's one reason I enjoy the league racing.
Go right.
Because you more or less race with the same people all the time. You kind of get to know all their tendencies. You get to know, you know, who to watch yourself around. And the league also has a little bit stricter standards too than the open iRacing does. I mean, you have to do a lot to get banned. Like if you go around wrecking people on purpose, yeah, you'll get banned pretty quick. But if you just suck, they don't really do bans for that. Your rating will just keep going lower and lower and lower, and you know, you'll race against other people who suck. Because what happens when these races come up, like this is a really popular series, the Imsa series. Imsa Sports Cars is pretty popular. So when this race comes up, you know, several hundred people might sign up for this race. But, you know, you can't put several hundred cars on the track at once. So what it does is
to the right.
the iRacing
Clear on the left.
automatically splits everyone up based on their rating. So in theory, you should be racing against people who are relatively close to your talent level. See, now I caught this guy. Now, if you're him, right? Yeah, consider I caught this guy from like 6 seconds back in like 6 or 7 laps. So he shouldn't fight me too hard. That would not be smart. But some people aren't that smart, so we'll see. I'm up to 8th. Pretty decent recovery. Everybody's pitted by now, so I'm not going to get any more free positions on pit stops.
Left side. Keep to the right. Stay on the right. Clear on the left.
Okay, so he didn't contest me too hard. Like, he took me down to the braking zone. He saw that I got in there good, and he just gave it up, which, you know, now I'm talking and I'm fucking up. See, at this point, okay, I passed the guy. Now I want to pull away from him. I want to just hit my marks the next few corners, make sure I pull far enough away from him where he can't draft me. Because I'm fast. I'm obviously faster than him. I mean, I caught him like a second lap. So I'm obviously faster than him. I just don't want to give him the opportunity to stay close enough to me to be able to draft me and attempt to make a pass on me. Which, if you look in my mirror there, he's far enough back where he's barely getting any draft on this high-speed section here, so that's good. So look in the bottom right here, he should be the behind car, the car that says behind. So I was 1.3 seconds ahead of him at the start-finish line. And the next car ahead of me is 2.2 seconds, so I could probably catch him too. Yeah, and then the next car I'm racing in front of him, that would be Sergio, 5th place. He's 5 seconds ahead of me, so I'm probably not going to catch him. Because there's only about 5 laps left in the race. So I got a GTD car here. He's going to let me go.
Car on your left. Clear on the left.
Thank you.
Second time that you cheese the street.
See, I keyed my mic there and thanked that guy for letting me go. Because he doesn't have any other cars in his class near him. So he saw that, you know, he just let the guy in front of me by, and then I came. And it's like, okay, so those guys are racing. Let them both go. Let them race. Now, if that GTD car was racing other cars in his class, then I should have respect for that and not mess up their race by pushing anything too risky. You know, so there's like an etiquette in multi-class racing about when and where you should pass which cars, you know, under what circumstances. You know, if I'm running by myself, you know, there's no cars near me in my class, and I come up on some GTD cars, even though I'm the class above them, if they're racing, you know, if they're in a heated battle, I should do my best not to mess that up. And definitely not wreck them. Okay, so last time by I was 2.284 behind that car. This time I was 2.228. So I really didn't gain anything. I also did get held up by that GTD car a little bit though. Because even though he swung out way wide and let me go, you know, I don't know he's doing that until I'm already braking for my corner, so I had to adjust my entry and everything, you know, expecting him to come in front of me. So that did slow me down some. You'll see it on my delta bar here at top. See all that green? I gained like 0.2 of a second through there compared to the last lap. I messed that corner up. So my last lap was a 2:13.9. This one is going to be a 2:13.6.
You have about 5 laps of fuel left.
It's actually my best lap of the race. I still didn't really gain anything on this car in front of me though. So he must be driving pretty smooth. I think I actually completely missed my spotter message. I think he said I had 5 laps of fuel left. And that's plenty. There's 7 minutes to go. That's probably 3 laps, maybe 4. It depends on when the leader takes the white flag. really good lap going here. So the other thing that can happen, like, okay, yeah, I got old tires. Getting out of the end of the race, though, you also have very little fuel left. Fuel is, you know, it weighs some. So the car is actually lighter by quite a bit, you know. This is a GTD car right in front of me here.
Car right.
And the car behind me is the prototype leader.
Still there. Clear.
He's flashing his lights at me, so I'll let him go.
Car right.
And I
Clear
will.
on the right.
Now, I gained a ton of time on that car in front of me last lap. I gained almost a second. He was like 2.2 seconds ahead, now he's 1.3 seconds ahead. And I'm in drafting range now. You can see my delta bar, I'm gaining a couple hundredths. It's draft. Because the lap before I didn't have draft down that straightaway. So you get a little bit of draft, you go faster, you gain time. So I got 2 or 3 laps to pass this guy. Where I was going with that before is that the car weighs less now because all the fuel's burned off. So because the car weighs less and still has the same amount of horsepower, it can go faster. So sometimes you'll actually set your best laps towards the end of the race. A race like this anyway, where you don't take, you know, you only had fuel on the last pit stop. Yeah, I'm definitely close enough to get draft here. I didn't get through there very well. So now the leader just passed me. He lapped me last time by through here. So he just crossed the start-finish line with a little over 3 minutes left to go. So he has 2 laps left. So next time by, he'll get the white flag. And so will I. So I have 2 laps to pass this guy. There's no prototypes coming right now. I also have damage, so my car's not going to be quite as fast down this straightaway as it should be, even though I have draft. I'm not going to be close enough to do anything here. I just want to stay close to him here. There's no really good passing opportunities here. We're also coming up on some GTD traffic. This is when it gets really complicated. Me and this guy are racing for position. Now we got to pass GTD cars that are racing each other for position.
Car on your left, you're on the right, 3 wide. Left side, 2 wide. Still there.
He let me
Clear on
go
the left.
because he knew it would not be wise to try and go side by side through there.
Last lap.
So now it's okay. Can I hold this guy off for a lap? How good a draft is he going to get on me? I got damage. All this stuff's going to be in my head.
To fuel left.
I got off that corner well. He's far enough back, I should be okay. Well, if I didn't have damage, I'd be okay. I don't know if it's going to cost me quite that much time if he's going to catch me. He's a second back. He's gaining, but I don't think he's gaining fast enough. Now I got to watch these guys in front of me, make sure they don't do anything dumb. And I got a prototype coming. That's what the blue flag in the upper left means. So you see a lot of stuff going on.
Right side. Clear.
That was a messy place to try and pass that guy, but I don't really have a choice. It's the last lap. I got a car in my class directly behind me. I messed up that corner pretty bad too. That's gonna let him gain a lot of time. I just gotta stay far enough ahead of him so this flat out section at the end of the lap he can't draft me. That prototype that just passed me messed me up a little bit. It wasn't his fault. He made a clean pass on me. It just distracted me a little bit and I missed my marks. Yeah, he's far enough back, I should be okay. As long as I don't mess this, the kink up here coming up, as long as I don't screw that up really bad, I should be good. Not this one, it's the next one. This is the one where you could run flat out through here if you hit it right. I lifted just a tiny bit, just to make sure I got through there okay. Then you gotta get into this last braking zone. I took it a little easy there because I had enough gap to do that. Make sure you don't screw it up. And I got him. I got sixth. All right.
There's the flag. It's over.
Pretty good recovery, all things considered.
Great job. You did really well.
Yeah. I even got by that dirt bag that pushed me off the track. Yeah, buddy. Actually, that's, I mean, considering everything that happened to me, getting up to back up to 6 is pretty good. I was 5th before all that stuff happened. Yeah, see, this is what happens to this guy here. He gets held. This is the guy I just passed coming to the white flag. He gets held up by this GTD car here, and I got a good run on him. And then I had to decide, you know, what do I want to do with it? Do I want to push the issue? You know, what do I want to do? So, you know, right here, I had a really good run. I lifted a little bit because there's nowhere to go. And then I found this little gap over here. And now I have more momentum here. So all the way down this high-speed section, I'm going to gain distance on him. And then by the time we get up, we're getting up towards the kink, I think he realizes I'm a little bit ahead and I'm not going to back out. And we can't go through there too wide. So he just lets me go. Yeah, this kink here, you can't really go through there too wide in these cars. You can, but you'll lose a ton of time. Yeah, so I want to go back here and look at this incident where this dick nose drove me off the track. Is it this one? Yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, look at all the room to the right. You know, the lap before, we had the opposite. So I held, so now he's over here. Now, granted, he's a little further up on me, but look at all the room I'm leaving him. You know, it's early in the race. It was for, at the time, I think we were like 6th or 7th in class. You don't do stuff like that early in the race for. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't do stuff like that at all. That's not clean racing. But especially this early in the race, like he could have wrecked himself doing that. I could have hit the grass and spun into him and caused a huge wreck. Dumbass. But anyway, yeah. So actually, I mean, even though all that stuff went wrong, it's a good result. I got 6th in class. If I go out here, it'll show me my rating. You know, your ratings change every race. The official races like this, league races don't count. But go up here, yeah, my rating went up a little bit. So that's the first time I've been over 2,000 for my I rating. Your safety rating is totally different. That just all depends on how many incidents you had. You can see here, I had 11 incidents. That's, you know, off tracks, contact with cars, you know, if you hit the wall, stuff like that. So that spin cost me, you know, a 2x plus the one car hit me. And then, you know, that off track, where the guy pushed me off the track, that cost you incidents. And then, you know, here and there, when you just kind of go beyond the track limits on the exit of a corner, you get an off track for it. So 11 incidents, my safety rating went down a tiny bit, but not a big deal. It's still good. This is a good safety rating. It goes up to 5. Anything in the 3s and 4s is good. Yeah, and then my I rating went up actually because I beat, even though I finished 6th, I beat guys that have good I ratings. So here's the guy directly behind me. Some of these guys have even higher ratings than mine, 2,100, you know, 2,000. So when you beat people that have better ratings than you, your rating goes up. So